What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning back in. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about how you view money, right? The big thing that no one wants to talk about in some countries, and it's a little bit taboo to speak about how much you make and whatnot. But listen, if you always view money in a negative way, then guess what? You won't have very much to have yourself. And I find that plenty of people out there that look at money like, oh, you know what, I don't need it, and you know what, it's whatever. A lot of those people tend to not have money and have a very poor or broke mindset because of the way they view it. And hey, a lot of the time, it really depends where you're born. And on top of that, how your family brought you up with money. Because if your family had didn't have a lot of money or always had arguments containing money or never had it around them, then chances are you view it the very same way. So when a lot of people talk to me and I could just tell based off their conversation that maybe they didn't come from a okay place, or maybe they just view it a little bit negatively, I can already tell that immediately when money hits their account, it goes straight out, right? They'd much rather use that money to do degenerate things or just blow it away. And this is why they always complain why they can't have enough money, or they need a better job, or they don't they don't strive to do more, and they always view money. So viewing money that way will only set themselves for failure. And when you get older, you won't be able to retire because guess what? You never viewed money that it was important in that matter. So when it comes to viewing money, I find that if you always view it that it's negative and whatnot, then you probably it'll probably be very difficult for you to get it in the future. Now, I view money personally as a tool. It enables you to make more money for freedom, to afford the best education, to travel, to basically pursue business ventures. And that's the best way, really, to view money because I believe that it only amplifies the kind of person you are. Because listen, right? If you are already a terrible human being and you're very questionable, you don't do very much good things in the world, it'll only amplify that and allow you to do more evil and more bad in the world. And there are plenty of examples I'm sure that you can think of that some pretty bad people had money, and guess what, they were able to do some pretty ugly things in the world. Now, to counter that, if you have plenty of money and you think of abundance mindset, it'll only allow you to do more good in the world, right? To go feed the homeless, to go help people with shelter, to get the best education for yourself, to provide for others, to set up your family for wealth and generations. So when you think of it that way, you could tell how a person is able to create more of it and to be more optimistic that, hey, you know what, money's coming in. I have a bunch of other places I'm accruing it in, and that's great. But I find that a lot of poor people, they don't view it that way, right? It's like that endless black hole, right? I need more of it. I need more of it. Yet they sit here and complain and they don't do anything about it, right? Because they might have a money blueprint that might be something wrong with them, right? So there's too many blueprints. Maybe you can look at your, history or maybe how you were brought up. So if you think of money and you're always spending, you see it in the bank account and you're immediately spending it. You get a credit card, you get approved immediately, you're spending it immediately. You're like, oh, whatever. It's whatever. Guess what? It's never gonna stick around, and you're always gonna have money problems in the future. Now, if you have a saving attitude and you view it, oh, you know how to save it or need to put it in other money vehicles that will allow you to get more money in the future. That's another thing too, is you got to think of it in the future. How is this going to benefit me in the future? Is that thing that I'm buying, is it going to help me in the future make more money, whether you're putting it aside for retirement or you're pursuing business ventures too, and you're putting yourself out there. And a lot of the time too is like you have to view it as that you can get more in the future, but you need to be aware that it will probably cost some money to make some money too. Another thing is taking risks. So when people don't like to take risks and they just like to be in their 9 to 5 and they feel very secure that it'll hold them over for the rest of their life, guess what? Life is not guaranteed. Life is super, super short. And I've seen it plenty of times where people think that just because they have this very quote unquote secure job that they're set. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people just before retirement age, which is 59 and a half here in the US, something catastrophic happens or they pass away. And guess what? It means absolutely nothing. And they worked their lives away. They've spent all of that energy, all of their life energy in the past. And guess what? You can't take it with you. So that's another thing to think about too, is just because you feel secure, you should have other things in place, whether it be starting that side business or, even taking that risk to move somewhere to gain more wealth, to get more experience, to get more skills so that you can make more too and set yourself up in the future. Taking risks for me has paid off tenfold, right? Even if I didn't get what I wanted out of it or get the most value out of it, I learned what I don't need to spend money on. And I learned a lot of different experiences. And I've had plenty of other business colleagues that they've invested in themselves. And they might not have felt like they got the most value, but guess what? They learned something, right? They learned how they were sold. They learned something from that thing that they were able to apply it to themselves or to their business model in the future. So it's important to realize that you can take these risks now, especially if you're younger, because it'll pay off in the future. And on top of that, you can always go back to the 9 to 5, reset, do what you got to do because you're going into it with more experience. And, you're going into it with, I don't need to make those same mistakes that I made in the past. This is why I believe it's very, very important how you're able to look at money, because it'll only allow you to do more things you'd like to do in the future, right? And you can change your mindset, right? You don't have to always stay locked in to how you view it, right? Once you start to be locked in and you don't believe in yourself too much either. I know it sounds very cheesy, but it's true, right? If you believe in yourself and you believe what you can do in this world, it's a tool that'll allow you to do it, right? Because you need a way to do it. You got to pay rent. You can't just show up and be like, all right, I'm good. So it's important to reevaluate that and moving forward how you view it, because if you view it in a very negative manner, chances are you probably won't have very much of it in the future. As always, thank you so much. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. And you are your greatest asset, and persistence breaks the resistance. Thanks.